7. So you sort of have to work around that. It's sometimes a pretty good-sized jigsaw puzzle to get it all work. But I think we're bringing it to close, and we'll set the stage for the city for many, many years without other major investments down at the treatment plant. And again, we'll have an open house this fall, and we welcome all of you to come down to get the nickel tour. And with that, Your Honor, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Council, questions or comments? Yes, Bob.
Mayor, one of your goals several years ago was to mitigate the smell coming out of your plant. Personally, that I haven't had any complaints this summer of any smells coming into Kentstein Park. Has that goal been achieved?
I think actually a couple of things. We've gotten rid of a lot of the odor sources, and so we think that the odor levels have just generally decreased. We also have an odor control system that we talked about during the design phase, and they're just in the startup phase of getting that up and running. So we'll see an even better odor output than what we have today, Bob. So we've got, I think we've addressed it, as we talked about. We try to get rid of the inherent odor sources, and we got rid of some of the tanks that just generally created odors, and then we put the odor control system in to take care of those things that are difficult to manage. So we anticipate it'll be better than, when it's done, it'll be better than what it is today.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, please, Scott.
What was the reasoning for not modifying the digesters?
At the time that the digesters, when we put the project together, the way the treatment plant was operated is they pumped the sludge out to the remote lagoons and then brought all of that sludge back to haul it out. And that was really a buffer to provide storage. Now we don't do that operation, and Roger can elaborate on it, but we don't take that out and back, so we're not trying to shuffle that sludge out and back through the same pipeline. And so as a result, we don't need that storage. We were trying to do one too many things with a pipeline. We'd send it out, and then we'd bring it back, send it out. So now we send it out and take care of it from that remote location rather than bringing it back and needing to deal with it, sort of the back and forth. So we really didn't need the sludge storage, and really what we were doing is just creating on-site storage for the material once we brought it back before we hauled it out. And we with today's operation, we don't really need that. So that was an opportunity to save some money.
That it? Answer your question, Scott?
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Osama.
Bob, you mentioned that you're going to operate from 24 hours to 12 hours down at the plant. The first thing comes to mind here is what is the reduction in manpower due to that change?
That's one that somebody other than I will need to answer, because I'm aware of it, but I don't really have the budget information. I don't know whether, Roger, you want to?
John or Roger, why don't you come up and talk about the schedule, the new schedule, revised schedule. If you also recall, we reduced the water pollution control plant budget by one full-time person during the last budget. And we'll also have additional savings in overtime and with the new hours that Roger's going to address here.
Yeah, that's exactly. In fact, we're actually down 2 employees from what we were a number of years ago, but picking up John as the assistant director and the environmental coordinator, I guess we're down 1. And we're going to have to operate for a while on the 12-hour schedule. We've started that just about a month ago and haven't been at it very long, but it has worked out so far pretty well. But I think we may be able to reduce by another person over the next year, possibly. We're just going to have to wait and see where we're at. But overtime was one thing that was, with 24-hour operations and people being sick and trying to cover other people, the overtime was just tremendous. And we've basically eliminated overtime. So that's a big amount that we're going there.
If there is an emergency or an issue, there is a 2-hour callback, but they can actually respond initially at home via computer system. And if they have to respond to the plant, they can do that subsequently.
We're working towards that goal yet, and hopefully we can get that going pretty soon, that we'll be able to monitor by computer, whether we send if you don't have computer access or whatever, that we'd send a laptop home with a person that's actually, they rotate people that are on call for basically 4 or 5 day period. And that keeps rotating. So the on-call person, if something happens, may be able to, if they get some type of an alarm, get a call. They will be able to go online, look at the plant, see how it's operating, what the alarm is, and make a decision at that time whether they need to come in or it's okay till morning. If we've got 3 pumps in one application that are running and you have a failure of one pump, we've got 2 other pumps that'll back up. So it would probably wait till the next morning. So I think those things that we've done, and as Bob alluded to, are going to save the city a lot of money over the long period, those things. And just to add on to the digester, because of the contract we got with Jim Hahn, we've got an umbilical system right out at the lagoon that goes right out to his property, and that was used a number of years ago, and we were able to renew that contract here, and that's where the not having to redo the digesters was a big plus for us.
Council? Anyone else?
I had one other question, I guess.
Yes.
One of the components for additional engineering costs were the additional inspection cost, isn't that correct?
Correct.
Just because it is going longer, is there more things to inspect? I mean, I'm
Well,
just trying to
the
follow that
person
logic.
that is on staff that's part of V&K's, their people, they're providing the inspector for the job. So they're there every day, and there were time periods earlier in the project and they're based on the number of hours that they put in, and they submit to us every month, what they're spending. So if it's a light month and the contractor's not getting much done, they're not spending that much money. So it was an estimate to begin with, but now we're at the end of the project, and what we were paying for that inspector, that money has been all used up at this point.
Okay,
we're
so
going to have
basically it
to-
was an estimate
Yeah,
to begin with.
it's-
It wasn't so much that it's going longer that added to the,
Not really, it's a combination of both, but
Okay.
it's, it was an estimate to begin with, so. And that depends on the contractor and how close you have to watch them, in some of the things they're doing. And we've gotten along really fairly well with the contractor, and most of the time, but there's things that, we found that maybe he's trying to get away with some things that, if there wasn't an inspector right there watching what's going on, why, it could have been, maybe not, but
okay,
we feel very confident he's doing a good job, and he's worth the money we're paying him to do
okay,
that.
thank you.
Council? Anyone else?
If I could just add a couple of quick comments, Your Honor. On the inspection, when we put it together, we assumed there would be slow times, so we didn't beef the contract up to assume that he would be there continuously. And so we didn't really have a lot of cushion left over when it sort of extended out. The other alternative, we could have sort of beefed it up in the front end, and, then we wouldn't be here. But then, it left a little bit more of discretion about how much you could spend. So in working out at the beginning, we thought we'd be a little bit lean on that and then come back if we needed to. A little bit harken back to the 24 versus 7. The 12-hour operation would be considered the norm for a plant of this size. So it's a little bit unusual to see a plant running staff 24/7 of this size. So the change you're making is really taking it from what would be almost considered an anomaly today to more of the norm, particularly with the electronic monitoring. So it's an opportunity to save money, but you're not really going out and venturing out of what would be considered the norm. You're really moving back toward what would be considered the norm for operations of a plant this size. So it's an opportunity that we have that capability today. Previously, we really didn't have that capability. We didn't have the ability to really monitor the plant. It wasn't really originally built with the idea that it wouldn't be staffed part of the time. So we're taking that opportunity to norm up with what most communities are doing.
One other thing, Bob, the overall expense, is it under budget? Do we know?
According to what Nancy says, about $9,000 out of $18.5 million.
Well,
So it's pretty close.
That's close, huh?
Yeah.
And Nancy and I went over those numbers today. I was gonna say we were under by $2.85, but it looks like about $9,000 that we still should be under our total budgets.
Go and have a hamburger, Bob.
Council, anything else you want to ask these gentlemen? Nothing? Thanks, Bob. We appreciate it very much, Roger. And again, Denise, thank you for being here. If you should disappear, we really appreciate it. Okay. From the Planning and Zoning Commission, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the final plat for the University Development Subdivision. A request has been received for a 3-lot subdivision of Lot 5 in the Northland subdivision, a light industrial subdivision approved by the council in 2009. The current owner of Lot 5 is requesting this subdivision to accommodate his needs and the interests of a buyer of remaining 2 lots. The Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending City Council approve the subdivision with a change that will create an easement for a single point of access onto University Drive from lots 2 and 3. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So move, Your Honor.
Moved by Diane,
Second, Your Honor.
second by Scott. Discussion? Diane?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And Osama?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing on the vacation of an access easement in Lot 4 of the Chin subdivision. As part of the approval of this subdivision in 1987, the city required the final plat include an access easement intended to serve all lots within the subdivision via a single entry point from Grandview Avenue. Since that time, the property has developed without the use of the access easement. Recently, the owner of Lot 3 acquired Lot 4 and is requesting the elimination of the access easement crossing Lot 4 so it can be used for existing and future commercial use. The remaining 2 vacant lots are held under single ownership and will continue to be served by the access easement crossing Lot 3. The Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending City Council approve the request as submitted, and prior to any formal action by City Council, a public hearing is required. This public hearing will be held on Thursday, September 1, 2011 at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So move, Your Honor.
Moved by Bob Bynum,
Second, Your Honor.
second by Scott. Discussion? Bob Bynum?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
And Osama?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. From this city administrator section, presented for City Council's consideration, is the final reading of an ordinance changing the zoning designation for the National Guard Armory property at 1421 Park Avenue. On September 6, 2007, City Council granted the state of Iowa a long-term lease of 17.276 acres of real estate located on the southeast portion of the municipal airport for the construction of a joint readiness facility for the Army Reserves and Iowa National Guard. As part of the lease agreement, an exchange was made for the current National Guard Armory property located at 1421 Park Avenue. The existing building and property at this location is zoned R3, single-family residential. In order for the city to promote the highest development for this property, a zoning change is being requested to C1, Neighborhood and General Commercial. The Planning and Zoning Commission has unanimously recommended the approval of the zoning change. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance on a final reading